John Fanta joins us, NBC Sports Cleveland's own in the Fan Hotline. Sorry about that, John.
Sorry, John.
That's okay, guys. I've got a 7-month-old. I believe in the year-long policy, and had the Browns won on Sunday, you both would have been added to my family Christmas card list.
Oh, wait, so we're not...
They lost, we're not...
How do I get punished because Kevin Stefanski can't coach his way out of a paper bag?
Really taking 3-win Wilson to heart here, aren't you, John?
Yes, I am. You're still... Yep, you're set up nicely. That was just a beautiful disaster on Sunday afternoon. That was, for me, that I was thinking about this before hopping on with you guys. Do you guys remember when the Browns hosted the Rams on Sunday Night Football in the Freddie Kitchens season? You remember that game?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a fourth down. I want to say like 4th and 8, 4th and 9 maybe. And they decided to run a draw play, and I genuinely believe it was because they didn't know what. Like I do believe there was a faction there of they didn't know what down it was because the play made no sense.
Mm-hmm.
That for me was Sunday's fan and play. Like that, if I point back to a play with a coaching tenure ending, that will be the play that I look at, because when the graphic on screen is showing 2 on the play clock, I'm sitting there saying, yep, delay of game, and then the snap still occurs. It was at that point that I said, that is an indefensible, undisputable mistake upon mass proportion that nobody could ever justify under any circumstances.
Obviously, John, we're still digging through the rubble of the 49ers loss. I put it on Kevin. I did put it on Bubba. I put it on special teams. Where is it all on Kevin for you, though?
Yeah, it is, because Bubba works for him. And Bubba, Bubba shouldn't be coaching this week. If we're just being real, like these are things that are happening way, way too often for a professional football team to be doing these things within the course of a game. I mean, if you take away the 66-yard return and you take away... Here's the thing. You know how we're breaking down games every week, and we say, well, if you take that play away, it probably goes differently. The problem with the Browns is you have to take away like 6 or 7 or 8 plays, and 90% of them are on the coaches. This is a young football team. They're very inexperienced. They need training wheels at times. That's okay. They're not the first football team that's ever needed that. They're very young. The coaching is not helping the players. That's a huge red flag, and it just continues to be with this team. They did unimaginable things on Sunday afternoon, guys, and it does fall on Kevin, because you know your team is in a 2-point game, and you know your team is not loaded up with talent. I mean, on the defensive side they are, but loaded up with talent on offense to be able to function properly all the time, or to just get the benefit of the doubt. Twice on 4th and 1. Twice. You knew when they put an offensive lineman in at fullback on the 4th and 1 in Niners territory what they were going to do. The Niners knew what they were going to do. Was there anybody blocking on the interior there? No. And then you couldn't make it on 4th and 1 there. What made you think you were going to make it on 4th and 1 in your own territory? That ended the game. The moment that happened, you sat back and you said, it's just not going to happen, because the coaches cost them that game Sunday. And they've cost them a number of times this season. And as a result, changes are a must. There's just no denying it. I do blame Kevin, because Bubba is his special teams guy. And the special teams errors week in and week out, dropping punts. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. And I feel bad for the players. I do. I feel bad for some of the players on this team that work their tails off for a game every single week. And I feel bad for Jim Schwartz, guys. I really do. I feel bad for Jim Schwartz. Did you see Schwartz and Shanahan chopping it up at the end of Sunday's game, sort of laughing, and Schwartz put his hand over his mouth? Oh, to be a fly on the wall to know what Schwartz sort of muttered to Shanahan, who knows, of all people, the dysfunction within the Browns.
All right, John. What'd you make of the sideline interaction between Jerry Jeudy and Shedeur Sanders?
Well, look, I documented on this show that Jeudy, to me, he's not a long-term option for this football team, nor should he be. I think for me, like, I'm not going to explode off of it. Like, the interaction to me right now that sums up the dysfunction is the stuff that's happening on social media between people's girlfriends and, it never ends with the Browns. But, like, I don't know, guys. I think that we could look into any sideline interaction and overreact or not react enough. That didn't really. It's not something that like I have an overreaction to at all. But I just like Shedeur Sanders. To me, the biggest problem that I have is you compound the bad coaching, okay, and that creates total dysfunction in your organization. Whether one social media video after a win says it or not, the Browns are dysfunctional. So these types of interactions on the sidelines, they're going to happen. They're going to continue to happen. I think the hardest part is how do you properly evaluate? How do you properly say where Sanders is at when all this other, the word I can't use on your air. I mean, I could use it, but I don't know if I'd be allowed back on next Tuesday. All that other stuff.
I'd probably let you back on.
I would.
Okay, thank you, Nick. I appreciate it. All that other stuff.
And Jonathan
is happening. Is happening. So, to me, Judy, I'm over everything with him. The mistake in Vegas, it did it for me. But like it just. That didn't bother. That doesn't get me thinking one way or the other. I want to see more of Shedeur. I want to see him finish out this season, and I just think that the hardest part about this is that we very well could walk out of this season being like, well, we think there's something there, and we think that maybe there's some potential, but how do you properly evaluate it when your coaching and your system is so broken and disjointed?
All right, what are the next 5 games about for the Cleveland Browns?
Well, to find out if they could go into next year with Shedeur Sanders as an option at quarterback, as a starting quarterback. That's what the next 5 games are about. And they're about Myles Garrett making history. Let's appreciate that. And they're about continuing to watch these rookies grow. I mean, if there's one thing about this season that I'm enjoying, I think you both would agree, we get to watch Quinshon Judkins and Dylan Sampson get better and better every single week, and Harold Fannin making plays left and right that make you say, all right, there's something cooking here. I've enjoyed that, and I've enjoyed watching Carson Schlesinger play football every week. The Browns have a coaching staff that I fully believe is on their way out. But the players, I enjoy watching some of these young pieces be dynamic and get better. I would just say, I'm knocking on wood as I say this, knowing some of these rookies who can be back for their second year, I just want them to stay healthy. I don't want anything to happen to them heading into year 2 for those different rookies and different standouts. I want to see Myles Garrett, get this record, smash it, and make some history. But more than anything, I want to know. And here's the thing, guys. I don't know if we'll know the answer, but I would love to get some semblance of an answer of, all right, can we go into training camp and is Shedeur Sanders a real option for the Cleveland Browns in their quarterback competition? Is that a real thing? That's what I want to know the answer to. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. I mean, that's got to be it. And really, it's not even like the highest bar to have to clear, John. It's like, can you be better than whatever you think you could potentially draft, not even as the first or second quarterback off the board, probably the third quarterback off the board, or then on the other side of it, like Mac Jones.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you want to know here is, and look, this quarterback class, which remember, pre-draft this past year, what people were talking about this upcoming year's quarterback class to be, let's be honest, it's withered. It really has in terms of hype at the top of the board at this point. Now, we know because of the priority of the quarterback position that the hype's only going to continue to rise because that draws interest and audience, and quarterback is the most valuable position on the field. But I think that you're exactly right. Like, are the Browns, I think they'll have a new regime. Is that new regime, like, what is going to be their route? And how is that determined financially? How is that determined? Do you get a seasoned vet in the room, or do you go and draft again? Those are the biggest questions for this team. And Lord, I mean, I know that this gets tossed around from time to time, but I think the other thing that we want to find out over the course of the next weeks and months is, like, what is ultimately going to be like the final type of conclusion with Deshaun Watson, because it's still very much like a thing that he's around and he's been coaching up Sanders and stuff. And I think if you asked him, he'd probably say that he wants to come back and play. I mean, if you ask me, I think he's done being a starter in the National Football League. But that quarterback room. But the biggest thing you got to solve is Sanders feasible? And if he is, then maybe you do, go the route of getting that established veteran to compete with him and be that type of presence. We're going to find out.
John, great stuff, buddy. Appreciate you. We'll talk to you next Tuesday.
Thank you, fellas. One step closer to us not watching people that we're tired of.
I'm still not there. John, we appreciate you, buddy. I'm still not there.